What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. The intro clip shows you guys I was working on a bunch of wiring. Now yesterday I was going through my boxes and I found a chassis harness to the ECU plugs from an Acura RSX. Now I probably pulled this from the yard a long time ago with an engine harness that I bought, and I did that because if I needed a pin for something, I can depin it from that harness specifically and use it for whatever it is that I'm wiring in, right? But I was looking at this chassis harness and I was like, it's mainly intact and it has two of the main plugs that you would need to build a K20 conversion harness. I'm like 6 hours into this wiring right now and it's mainly done for the most part, but I'm still missing a few plugs to terminate the wires before we test it in the car, before we lume it up. I know it's labor intensive, but you guys should know this by now that this channel is nothing but DIY, a lot of labor into whatever it is that we're doing. We like to save money and build things on a budget. I mentioned in the previous video that an eBay conversion harness is anywhere between $40 to $60 and something more higher brand is $200 plus. But I figured because I have most of the plugs and wiring, I may as well attempt it, right? Because all I'm really losing here is time, and I have nothing but time sometimes. I pulled out the K20 conversion harness out of my blue all-wheel drive car. This is a CJS unit, which is now discontinued. I literally spent about an hour and a half to trace every single wire and plug on this to write down on a clipboard to use as a reference for me building my own K20 conversion harness. This is what I wrote down right here on the clipboard. Every wire and plug that we traced on the CJS wiring. This is what helped me build what's on the table right here. I'm going to show it to you guys in a second. Quickly, I want to say this M12 battery powered Milwaukee soldering iron is the greatest investment in my toolbox. I literally had a 6.0 battery M12 on it for 4.5 hours, and it stayed on the entire time for me to finish my K20 conversion harness. And then the battery started blinking at about 4.5 hours and threw it on the charger because I didn't need it anymore. This thing right here, guys, if you don't have it in your toolbox, man, y'all need to grab one ASAP. Milwaukee, please sponsor me, please. So this right here is my K20 conversion harness. This is the third ECU plug for the ECU itself. This is the C101 that connects to the engine harness. And then going back over here, we have this is the chassis harness for the EF, which pulls like the reverse light switch and stuff. I need the plug for that. This is the brown plug for the EF and DA, guys. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? It's this guy right here, which is usually covered with a brown sleeving. I need to get that plug. This one right here is the relay. I'm going to get a pigtail for it like this one, so it's easily disconnectable. And this one right here is for the ECU stuff, which I can buy brand new, or I can rob an AWD 0 ECU female plug and wire it in, which is how I've done it before. Then we have the O2 sensor, which I don't typically run if you're running a wideband. We have the DLC. I wired it in just because I had it, even though I don't really use it. And then this long one right here is for the coolant temp to the cluster and the fan plug. So all these guys are routed to where they need to go. They just need to be terminated, and then we can test it in the car. Now, it's probably not going to be today, but if worst case scenario, I have that one to try. And if this doesn't work out, we'll spend the $60 for an eBay unit. My mom just got home and she returned with a shattered side door window. She said that the car parks next to a golf course and there was like a weird like shape size hole that shattered all of this, and I guess now we got to figure out how to fix that, huh? So guys, the wind is picking up right now, so I'm sorry if the audio gets distorted, but it feels really good. I'm just sitting here looking at the engine bay and I'm like, we're not that far from getting this car to turn on for the first time. I'm not saying that we're gonna try to turn it on in this video, so don't hold me to it, but we're not that far. Aside from the fuel system, which I'm sure I have everything, it's the battery, which I also have, power cable, ground cable. I need an ECU, which, I mean, if I really wanted to, I could rob it out of the other car, but I really don't want to. Aside from the ECU, we're not that far. I don't know if it has gas in here, but we're not that far. I did get a package from Amazon, so let's go ahead and open this thing up and get whatever is in here installed, because I don't remember what I ordered. But let's make some more progress on the 88 sedan today. Get away from yourself, not towards yourself. Oh, we have two Evil Energy packages. What did I order? Evil Energy 3/8 NPT. Oh, this is the adapter for the coolant temp sensor on the upper water housing. We have this guy right here. I do have my own temp sensor, And then this one is 6 AN male to oh, this is the tube adapter for my return line. Maybe we'll do the fuel stuff today, huh? How about that? Oh, this one has two. 5/16 tube adapter. My feed line already has one on it, and this is the return line that we're gonna be installing. Let's do the fuel stuff today. I know I have a coolant temp sensor here somewhere. I remember seeing it. Here we go. Get some Honda Bond. Throw some Bond of the Honda on the threads at the very bottom. This should keep it nice and sealed tight. It is aluminum, so don't force it, because aluminum will strip real fast, break. I don't typically run my coolant temp sensor here because it makes it at the highest point, so that means the fill neck has to be filled all the time for this to even read accurately to send back to your cluster on how hot your engine is actually running. I normally run this on the thermostat housing because it's at the bottom of the cooling system, and you know it's always going to be submerged, because if you're not running coolant in your car, obviously you got a problem there. So throw some RTV right here as well too, and then we'll thread this one in. At the end of the day, we're on K-Pro, so we're going to get the readings on, you know, your phone or laptop. This is a 12 mil. Give it a nice snug tug as well. This is brass into aluminum, to the damn worst material to, you know, ugga-dugga in. That should be good. On the max speed rod harness, this is the plug for the coolant temp, which I've already routed here. Wow, it actually sits pretty snugged on here, so there we go. All right, next up, we're going to be converting our return line to a -6 male. This one had a female on it before, which I took off. So if your hard line has a nipple on it, you have to cut the nipple off for this little ferrule to go over right here, a little brass compression fitting. And you can convert any hard line to any AN you want it to be, as long as you know what size your hard line is to buy the correct kit. Now the EF chassis, both feed and return, is 5/16 on the EG, EK, and DC. I believe the return line is smaller. I don't know it, so I'm not going to say it. But you put the sleeve on first. Next up is the compression fitting that goes right on the hard line, and then the top compression fitting with the -6 on the top. You pretty much just put it all the way down, thread it into the sleeve, and all you're doing is tightening it down, and it is going to compress that fitting in the middle, which then, you know, seal tight and converts this hard line into whatever size you're trying to turn it to. So I think the easiest way is to use a socket, because I really don't have enough space here to turn this. So we'll grab a socket real quick. A little bit more to line up the sleeves. Alrighty, this should be nice and snug. It should not spin, because if it spins, you didn't tighten it enough or you got the wrong size. So this thing seems to be pretty on there, and that right there is my return line converted over to a -6. My fuel rail doesn't have any AN fittings for the feed and return line. This is actually the old fuel rail out of my blue all-wheel drive car, and it had -8s on it, which I'm sure I took for that car. But we're keeping this car -6, so I got to go through my boxes to see if I have any with the O-ring boss, and may as well dig out my fuel system as well too. Lines, fittings, fuel pressure regulator. Let me set it all up on a table and see what we got and what we need to get. I literally went through every single box and tote that I have that contains AN hose and fitting, and we have almost everything to build my fuel system. This tote right here has a bunch of hose and fittings accumulated over the years from previous builds. A lot of -10, 8s, and 6, PTFE and regular hoses. We found a DW fuel filter, but we can't use this because this has -10 fittings on it, and we're not trying to go -10 on the fuel setup. I found a Walbro 450 in-tank fuel pump, and I tried it on the battery. This thing runs pretty strong like it's supposed to. Might end up using this in my car and just change out the filter. This actually belonged to the H2B CRX, but I put a brand new one in that car, so we're probably going to utilize it just because we have it. This box right here is the Hybrid Racing box fuel rail for my blue all-wheel drive car. There's a lot of fittings in here I thought I was able to use. These have the -6 ORB, but it has a -8 out, but we're not using -8, so we can't use that. We have ORB to ORB. Then we have the opposite -8 to -6 AN, and obviously the AN fuel rail is a -6 in, not an 8. A bunch of the same fittings, can't use any of those. This box right here has a brand new PTFE line in stainless. It has a 90 on it with a spare straight. I don't know if I want to use this because it is stainless. I want to keep everything nylon. In this box right here is a mixture of -8 and -6 PTFEs, and it seems I have more PTFE than regular hose, so I might try to build the fuel system out of PTFE in case I want to go E85 when I tune this car, but it just depends on what we have. So the fittings that I need to complete this system is a -6 ORB to -6 AN, which is this one. I only found one, and I'm missing 2 more for the fuel rail, but I can take this off to mock it up on here to build my lines, and then we'll just stick it on here, because once this is mounted, I don't want to have to try to fit a tool in between it. But anyways, this fuel pressure regulator came with the car as a Hybrid Racing unit, and I actually did swap out the fitting on this end right here because the car was set up to run 1 line to the rail, but we're going to be switching 2 lines to the rail, feed and return. So I put the 6 ORB to 6 AN on the bottom, block this side off because this is the one that's going to be going back to the fuel return, and this is actually going to sit right here. I did bend the bracket a little bit to go to that 10mm hole and to let the fuel pressure regulator sit flush on the shock tower. I'm gonna go ahead and sort everything that I need to be here, and then everything else I'm not using to go back into the garage. And let's go ahead and just knock out as much of the fuel line stuff as possible. I'm gonna put one of these little rubber grommets in the backside so it doesn't like tear up the paint. I'm gonna see if I have enough length for the return line. So guy told me that the feed should go directly into the fuel rail, right? So feed would come into the rail and then return to the regulator. The way I had it in my sedan originally was feed went all the way around 180 and then straight into the regulator. He said this 180 right here is kind of where you drop fuel pressure and you want it to be direct in. So we're gonna build a return line because it is the longest length between the two, and I'm gonna see if I have enough material for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and thread this in real quick. I'm gonna use a 180 on the passenger side because I want my feed and return to be on the same side. Back in the days, I used to have a feed going around this way and then return, and it's just like a loop over the engine. I'd rather just have it flip over one side. So 180 over here. This is a PTFE 180. where did we leave off last night, guys? Where did we leave off? I think we buttoned up the fuel system, aside from the fittings that we needed, which I placed the order once I figured out I didn't have it. And guess what? Amazon came through. So last night I actually worked on my mom's car after whatever last clip you guys saw, and she wanted to take this car to Fresno today, so she had me work on her car trying to figure out a solution for a temp window. And I did all that last night, fixed the window temporarily, and went through all the fluids and topped off anything that needed to be. And when I came out this morning, she took the junkyard beater. So good for her on that end, because it has AC in that car. The van needs a recharge. So today's not crazy hot, but at least she has AC and heater, actually, because this car, something is going on with the heater system. But anyways, last night I had to figure something out. So these two Lexan right here, this is my CRX Lexan window. This is the rear that says Young Static on it, and this is the front window that I never used. And then this carbon fiber sheet is a sunroof block off with a carbon fiber wrap on it. So I upgraded my mom's window to carbon fiber, and she ended up just taking the other van. 18 hours after placing the order, the package shows up to my doorstep. This is literally the last two pieces that we need to button up our fuel system. Let's go ahead and open it up and get these installed. I just changed this blade and it feels dull. This is a new blade, so be sure to cut away from yourself, not towards yourself. 2-6 AN to -6 ORBs with the O-rings. 2Ds were only 10 bucks on Amazon. Fuel system is done. This is why I like having extra stuff lying around, because you'll never know when you're gonna need it. All right, so let's go ahead and address my spindles just to make some more progress. I went to O'Reilly's probably 2 days ago to pick up some lower ball joints, and this is the part number here, BJ06039. Got two of these because there's two spindles, and I'm gonna press these on first before doing the wheel bearing. Always want to make sure that your lower ball joint comes with a circlip groove right there, because it's always a good peace of mind to know that you have a circlip holding your ball joints together, unlike, you know, the factory CRVs where they're just pressed in and sometimes they pop out. Let's go ahead and grab one of these suckers. I do have my tools right here, just got to find the right size. Probably this one, because I can tell all the paint's chipped off. This guy right here, this guy right here with 22, I think, and I don't know, it's one of these other tools. All right, there's the first one, looking fresh. So I put the ball joints on before the shield and wheel bearing, just so that I don't ruin these guys when I try to press this after, if I was to do this one first. So now I'm gonna put the shield on, and then we're gonna do the wheel bearing. But first I need to find all the hardware, because they're kind of scattered through all the cups that I have on my workbench, because that's sometimes how I keep things organized. It's one of these, or it might even be in here, to be honest with you. Oh man, You know, all of my years before, I never really ran the dust shield, but because these are in decent condition, I figured I'll just keep them. And you want to put this on before pressing in the new wheel bearing, because you won't have access to these Phillips screws once the hub and everything goes on. So I'm gonna put these on now. Let's do the wheel bearings. Coil wheel bearing, part number Ultrum 955, right there. Got the new wheel bearing, and I am using the old wheel bearing to press down on it. We're gonna bottom out the bearing so that the circlip groove can be exposed to install the circlip before the hub. So right now it's bottomed out, I'm not forcing it. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a little circlip groove right there. I don't know where the circlip is at though, but there it is. Perfect. Now when you press the hub into the wheel bearing, you have to brace the back side of the wheel bearing installed on the spindle so that this doesn't pop out of the bearing, because if it does, then you just prematurely worn your bearing down. I've done this many and plenty of times before and wondered why the wheel still had slop when it was all tightened down with the axle nut. Learned my lesson probably like 30 times. Use a big ass socket. Put it right here underneath. Wheel hub goes on, and then my 19 mil socket, and this is gonna go bottomed out as well too. Don't need to force it. And there you have it. Look at that. No play whatsoever. Race is still in the bearing. Yes, sir. Let's knock out the other one. Solid. Guys, I threw the rotors on the spindle and this thing is looking so freaking fresh. I can't wait to have all the suspension stuff shipped in and installed onto the car, because it's gonna look that much more fresher in the wheel well. Although I did mention in the very beginning of this build that I wasn't going to touch the wheel well itself. I just gave it a good scrub and I'm gonna let that be. I think the last thing I need to order is brake lines, and I actually still need to clean the calipers up. But aside from that, we should be able to put the suspension in soon. I'm hoping within, and I don't know, 2 or 3 days, we'll start putting all of that back together. But before I wrap up this video, guys, I wanted to do one more thing. And you guys know I've been trying to move a lot of stuff out of the garage back into the car, and the biggest thing aside from the back seats sitting up there is the hood. So I'm gonna attempt to get the hood put back on and bolted down and clear the valve cover, the intake manifold, and the fuel rail. And if you guys look, it's really not sticking up that high. Let's get to cutting. First, I need to get the fenders where they need to be, and then we'll get the hood on. First, I need to get the fenders where they need to be, the gap between the door and the fender itself. Guys, from the looks of it, it's only hitting where the valve cover is at, right there in the corner. Just that little corner, because if you look over here in the manifold, it's way cleared, even all the way over there. Now if anything, it might hit the dipstick, but it's just the corner of the valve cover right there, and it's not that far. This is probably about 1/2 inch, and the gap is not the best because this fender is, it's pretty pushed in, right? And this one is kind of kinked, so this gap is much larger. But aside from that, it doesn't seem like much to cut. I mean, it looks like it's been hitting there before, so do I want to cut the whole webbing out or just the valve cover section? I don't think the EP3 idler pulley is gonna touch. There's plenty of space up there, so I'm gonna do some measurements and probably just cut. I don't want to overcut the webbing, but I'm gonna do some measurements, do some markings, do some cutting, and I'll show you guys in a second.
Hey, why are you doing that?
I don't want to, but it makes the car a sleeper. I do what I got to do. That's the chunk right there, guys. I didn't go overkill with the cut, but hopefully that's enough. Yo, it closes, my boy. It closes.
I'm still waiting for the...
No T-bar. Oh, dude, we hella cleared. Bro, look at this.
Oh, that thing's nice.
Look at that. We are cleared. We are cleared. EP3 idler pulley up in the manifold. Let me see if I can try to show you guys. Look at that. Look at that. Even if I use the like eBay manifold, it'll clear because it limps down. But look at this. Closed gap. Look at that. Look at that. Now this fender, like I said, is messed up, but it's close. It's close. Look at that. Yes, sir. This is why I blocked off that port and I moved it down low right here, because the previous owner had bent the heck out of it to clear the hood, and now we are cleared by a mile. Yes, sir. This thing is gonna be a stupid sleeper. Imagine, stock wheels and all. I saw this picture on 1320 Videos Instagram of this white sedan I've been following on Facebook for a while. It's like a built B turbo, and it drives around on Steelies, like the stock 13-inch Steelies with some meaty tires on it. And the one that 1320 Video posted up, it had full-blown I believe like Bellic or Nitro Blade wheels in the front. I'll post a little picture, and that is like a true sleeper. This one, I'm hoping to make like 400 plus. It's gonna be on stock wheels, stock height, and this thing is gonna be a sleeper, dude. Look at that. I'm loving it. I am loving it. All right, guys, I'm super stoked about the hood closing with just minor modification to the webbing. When I do end up painting the car eventually, underneath the hood will get some loving and will be resprayed as well too, just so that it's all nice and shiny together, and the old glue will be sanded off. But guys, in today's video, I said at the very beginning that we're gonna maybe possibly try to turn on the car, and I told you guys don't count on it because, you know, it might not be in today's video. And I learned really quickly when I got into the hood of the car yesterday that I literally had no freaking fuel system. So the good thing is The fuel system now is fully buttoned up. PTFE line from the feed on the hard line inside the car. It comes out of the firewall, goes into the fuel filter, which then feeds the fuel rail, does the 180 back to the hybrid racing fuel pressure regulator, and then back to the return line on the hard line. And that is now finally done and out of the way. One big thing done. And I was kind of looking at the rest of the stuff today in the engine bay, and I was like, well, now that that's out of the way, it's really not that far from getting turned on. So the next big thing I need to do is the battery tray, power, the negative cable, and distribution block. And I was like, you know, I could have just done it right now and put it on the passenger side, but I'm one of those person where I'm like, I'd rather finish the entire job than try to turn on the car. I know I've done it before where I just threw the battery there on the passenger side and just temporarily wired it up to turn the car on, but we're already close. So I think what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to go get some material, build a battery tray, route all the wiring as far as the battery to the inside of the car, and then maybe we'll try to turn on the car. But ton of progress nonetheless. We also knocked out the spindles with the new ball joints and wheel bearing with the fresh rotors on it. Shout out to the homie Eric, which he's actually here. He's just chilling right there. But anyway, shout out to Eric for spinning the rotors. The front spindles almost ready to rock and roll. LCAs, the upper control arms are on the way. I got to go buy the outer tie rods with the bellows. I have a camber kit. I have tow arms already. Trailing arm itself is ready to go with the new RTA bushing. And soon, all the suspension stuff will go back into the car, like I mentioned. And, you know, I've done this a million times, man. But the first drive, the first startup, just hearing the engine run after so long, it's always a rewarding thing. So hopefully soon all that's going to get cracking. I am going to kill the video right here. I hope you guys enjoy the progress update on the 88 sedan today in this video. If you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for the first start of this K20A2 swap sedan, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next video. Peace.